Hey man, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. How you doing?
And what's your name, man?
Greg Harbut.
And what's your connection to horse racing?
Well, I work in the business as a bloodstock agent. I own Harbut Bloodstock Agency. But my family's been involved in racing for several generations.
And you know, I discovered you because in Saratoga, okay. I see the name of Man of War.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your last name associated with that. Can you give us a little history, man, about who your great-grandfather was and what he meant to horse racing?
My great-grandfather was a gentleman by the name of Will Harbut, and he gained a lot of notoriety as the groom for Man of War. Many people consider Man of War to be the greatest racehorse of all time. But he had a great relationship with the horse, longevity, and he died, and then the horse died several weeks later. A lot of people say that the horse died of a broken heart. But he was very well known for giving a monologue when people would come out to see Man of War. And, you know, it's just a special bond and connection from a groom to a horse.
And, you know, the name of this program is The Real Players Inside the Backstretch, right? How important is the men and women that do this job day out, day in?
Well, you know, they put the show on. I mean, without the grooms, without the exercise riders, without the hot walkers, what you see today at Santa Anita on a big day like today does not happen. So, you know, they don't get enough credit. They deserve all the credit, though, because they put in the hard work and ultimately put on the show that we enjoy.
And as a horseman, right, what's some of your earliest memories?
You know, probably my home track is Keeneland. So I grew up going to Keeneland a lot with friends and family. But probably my earliest memory is probably about the age of 9. And going to different horse farms and ultimately going out to the horse park and seeing some of my family on display at the museum. So it's probably some of my earliest moments that I can recall.
And you know, can you tell my audience like what you got going on as of now?
So we started a syndicate, me and a gentleman by the name of Ray Daniels, called Living the Dream Stables. And what we wanted to do was bring more minorities, especially African Americans, into the business and ownership. So we launched it about 2 years ago. And it's been very successful. A lot of minorities have wanted to get involved. That's the reason we're out today. We have 2 horses in stakes races, one of them in a grade 1 and the other one in a grade 2. So it's been wonderful just to see more minorities come in and get involved from an ownership standpoint. We've also started the Ed Brown Society, where we give out scholarships to young people and really just let them know about this industry. Even if you don't want to get involved hands-on with horses, it's still a multi-billion-dollar industry that requires all that is needed in major Fortune 500 companies and so on. So we're just trying to get more African Americans glued in to the possibilities of horse racing.
So, you know, me myself as a minority, and if people looking in and want to get involved, what's some of the steps they should be taking to kind of get involved in this business?
From an ownership standpoint, or from a
from an ownership standpoint as a minority?
You know, get with someone who has a good understanding of horsemanship. Horsemanship today is somewhat of a lost art. So definitely do your due diligence. Look for someone who actually likes horses, doesn't just look at it from a business, because they'll pour a lot of love into the horse. And just do your due diligence as far as who's going to train it, how do they treat their employees, and things of that nature. A happy barn usually equates to a happy horse. A happy horseman races. What's
the differences from back in the days to now, do you think, in horse racing?
I think the horsemanship has been lost. You know, back in the day, people took a lot of pride as far as being a groom. I think in a lot of ways they were probably treated and respected a lot more than what you see today. But those guys back in the day, man, they had the knowledge that a veterinarian would have today. So I just think the horsemanship, and with African Americans getting out of the business, it has not been passed down as it once was from generation to generation. So you've seen that exodus from African Americans as grooms, as trainers, as assistant trainers, probably about 2 generations now. So the younger generation, younger than me and my age, we just don't have the connection to those elders that we once did for the knowledge to be passed down from generation to generation.
And in your opinion, what makes a good groom?
You got to have the knowledge, got to have the passion and the desire, and got to be willing to put in the time. You know, guys back in the day, grooms, they didn't rush to get out of there. You see guys today, it's 11 o'clock, they get out of there. Those guys will stay around the barn all day, pouring love and care into the horses. You don't really see that today.
And you know, where the best grooms come from, man? In your opinion, man?
You know, I'm from Kentucky, so I'm going to say Kentucky.
You're going to say Kentucky?
Yes, sir.
Because some people say Aiken, South Carolina.
A lot of great horsemen come out of Aiken, a lot of Camden, South Carolina, you know, the deep South. But being a Kentucky native such as myself, I'm going to say Kentucky.
And do you got a favorite moment in this life?
Yeah, my favorite moment was probably actually 2 years ago when Ray Daniels and I had a horse by the name of Necker Island that ran in the Kentucky Derby. So up until this point, that's been one of my biggest highlights. Hopefully we can win one of these grade ones or grade two today, and that moment of change. But you know, my grandfather, Tom Harbut, was a very well-noted horseman. He had a horse in the Kentucky Derby. He couldn't attend because of segregation. So for me to be able to come a generation later and be from an ownership standpoint as my grandfather, that was a really special moment and one that will live on with me.
And you know, you had a favorite horse, man?
Yeah, Dr. Fager.
Say it again?
Dr. Fager.
And what made that horse so special?
Speed, 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 and more speed.
Speed, speed,
brutal.
speed. Brutal.
Brutal on the front end, bro.
Yes, sir, man.
He can carry weight and he can carry his speed. So.
Wow, and I see you guys, man, bringing that black experience right to the backstretch, and I think that's important. Like, you know, you see it in basketball, you see it in football, and I was talking to Ray, and he said that's very intentional.
Very much so.
You know?
Representation matters. We want to bring more of this. Overall, the industry has embraced it. It's needed. In any profitable business, you see a diverse consumer base as well as a workforce. So we want to be intentional with what we're doing and bring that same mentality to horse racing. We usually show up pretty deep. We have a pretty good following as far as people that follow us on Ed Brown race days. That's something that we're going to do. All the major race days, we will have representation there, each and every year. So, all the Triple Crown races, Breeders' Cup, Pegasus, we want to be there, but we also have the component of Living the Dream stables. But we're not just there as spectators, but actual owners as well.
And you commented on one of my videos early on this page, man. What you think about this page and what I'm trying to do?
I love it, man. I think the industry as a whole needs to get behind you, what you're doing, because you are actually documenting living history. You're shedding information for so many guys who have never had their story told and a voice heard. You're giving voice to the voices. So I salute you, your team, for the work that y'all doing, brother, and continue on with it. Several books. Catherine Mooney did a tremendous book. I think it's entitled Racehorse Men, and he gives all the history of the great African American trainers, grooms, jockeys, and really shows at the height how we dominated the sport and the reason why we've removed from the sport. It's also a great book on Eddie Sweat called The Horse That God Created, on his relationship with Secretary and Eddie Sweat.
Shout out the real players inside the backstretch.
Shout out to real players inside the backstretch. Appreciate you, appreciate everything that you do, man. And keep doing it.